Merry Christmas!
Ravens flock. Flock rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Merry Christmas, Ravens fans. This was maybe the best Christmas gift we could have got. The Steelers get blown out by the Chiefs, and then right after, the Ravens beat the Texans in dominant fashion, 31-2. I don't think anyone saw that final score coming, but the defense pitched a shutout. The 2 points obviously coming from a safety. Derrick Henry busted one out wide and got tackled in the end zone. But Derrick Henry was running all over the Houston Texans from the moment that ball got kicked off. The first two drives, we were just zipping up and down the field. We're committing to the run, leading with the run early. And then this offense is basically unstoppable if we're cooking like that on the ground. We're running a lot more zone read than power. We were definitely trying to run more power with our line, and it wasn't working. You know, we don't have the type of lineman that can move bodies like that. So going to a lot more zone read. Henry's finding these holes. The offensive line is opening these holes, and this run game is clicking on all cylinders. Lamar Jackson was heavily involved in this run game today, pounding with Derrick Henry over and over again, and then Lamar starts pulling it. I mean, good luck trying to stop this, man. It's a pick your poison offense. There's so many weapons all across the field. We didn't even use Zay or Bateman today very much. The receivers were not heavily involved, but we still dominated this game, mainly on the ground with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and mainly with this defense, man. The defense pitched a shutout. First shutout of the season. I know technically they got 2 points on the board, so it's not a team shutout, but this defense pitched a shutout, and the Texans went for it a couple times on fourth down, which obviously kept some points off the board. They could have kicked a field goal earlier in that game, and they just kept trying to score and go for it on fourth. I guess they felt like they couldn't really keep up with the Ravens offense by just kicking field goals, which I understand. I mean, the Texans weren't going to score 31 in this game by kicking field goals, so they came out with an aggressive mindset, and the Ravens were stopping them on fourth down outside of a terrible Marlon Humphrey pass interference call. I mean, the Ravens were keeping them out of the red zone for the most part. When they did get in the red zone, they were holding them to get to fourth down and then stopping them on fourth down. Shout out our Darius Washington with some big tackles, Marlon Humphrey with some breakups. Kyle Hamilton had a pick in this game. The defense had 5 sacks overall. Just a dominant performance. Another complete team win. We're rolling some serious team wins, man. I'd even credit special teams in this one as well. Tucker seems like he is fully back. That ball is straight as an arrow, and he is kicking with confidence. The defense is playing better than ever, and the offense is continuing to do what they've been doing all season. A little bit of a different way. I am not saying we committed to the run game as much as we have these past 2 weeks. I think we're definitely leaning on this run a bit more, which is what we've been saying all season, man. Like, start with the run, you know. Give Derrick Henry the ball early and often, and if a team is selling out to stop it or our line is not blocking well, then obviously we can adjust and go with some quicker passes and play action and try to take some shots downfield. But when the run game's working like this, you keep feeding it, and then you can basically do whatever you want, man. I mean, there's no stopping the play action pass. Lamar Jackson has been buying an unbelievable amount of time to continue to make plays downfield, even when there's not something downfield initially. You know, that play that he bought time and hit Andrews on that 70-yard pass, and then the likely touchdown in the end zone where Lamar's just scrambling and buying time and then hits likely. I mean, these are unbelievable plays that Lamar Jackson is making. Lamar is playing his best football of his career. He's using his legs now and basically just doing whatever it takes to win these games, and we're winning these games handily, man. These games are not close. These past 3 weeks after this bye, Giants, Steelers, Texans, we're steamrolling teams. It kind of feels like last year a little bit, you know, when we were playing the Niners and the Dolphins down the stretch, and we were just blowing them out, all these playoff teams that we were lining up, and we were just coming away with dominant wins. This is starting to feel like that again, you know, so I think we're building momentum at the perfect time. And the playoffs are are right around the corner. We are first in the AFC North now since the Steelers lost to the Chiefs and control our own destiny. All we have to do is beat Cleveland, and we don't play this Sunday, so we don't play until the following Sunday. And we play at home against Cleveland's, third or fourth string quarterback, whoever they end up going with. I just can't see us losing that game. And the AFC North crown is back in the arms of its rightful owner. Lamar Jackson passed Michael Vick for all-time quarterback rushing yards. Let that sink in for a second, man. All-time quarterback rushing yards, and he looks like he is not about to slow down even on the ground. I think Lamar's got a lot of years left where he's still going to be very mobile. Obviously his legs, as he does age well into his 30s, will slow down, but that arm's getting better. That mind is getting sharper, and I don't think Lamar Jackson is about to regress in his game for a long time, man. I think this guy is going to continue to elevate, whether his legs start to slow down or not. He's the greatest dual threat quarterback right now as is of all time. And then once he gets a Super Bowl, we got to put him in top 10 quarterbacks of all time. And the more he accomplishes, the more he's going to creep up that list. He's well on his way to win his third MVP. I think he needs to be the favorite now. I know the conversation's starting to shift. We've been talking about this for over a week now. I started really honing in on bringing this up often on this channel once I saw that the betting odds were so swayed to Josh Allen, and no matter what I turned on, they were just acting like Josh Allen already had this MVP locked up. And I'm like, have you looked at the numbers? Have you looked at what Lamar's doing? This is Lamar Jackson's greatest season ever. This is one of the best quarterback seasons we've ever seen in NFL history. Why is this race not closer? And at this point where we stand right now, after another dominant win in front of the world on Christmas Day, 3 touchdowns from Lamar, I just cannot see how Lamar Jackson is not the favorite to win back-to-back MVPs. MV3, his third MVP. This guy deserves it. 43 touchdowns. He's on pace for 5,000 yards. Top 5 quarterback passer rating in the history of the game. What more needs to be said? Big wins starting to stack up right now. We're going to win the AFC North most likely. I just don't understand how Allen even has a case at this point. And even if he goes out and balls, Lamar is so far ahead of him statistically. I don't see Allen catching him. If the Bills win and clinch that 2 seed, they can't move. They can't drop to 3. They can't move up to 1. The Chiefs clinch the 1. I think they sit Josh Allen in the final week, and Lamar has to play against Cleveland. So most likely Lamar is going to widen that gap. But let's take a look at the stats from this game. What a win. Lamar Jackson, 10 for 15. Only 10 completions in this game. We really dominated on the ground. 168 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, no interceptions. Derrick Henry, 27 carries for 147 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson added 4 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. He had that big 50-yard touchdown that was just unreal, man. Keaton Mitchell, we finally got a nice sample size of Keaton Mitchell, especially when Rasheen Ali went out. He ended up getting 11 carries for 20 yards. He really didn't make a big play, but it was just nice to see him out there and getting some reps. And then receiving, Mark Andrews led the way, 2 catches, 68 yards, and a touchdown. That one catch, I think, was 67 yards, so that was mainly all of his yards. Zay Flowers, 2 for 31, and then no one really did anything else, man. We got the backs involved. Rashad Bateman had 1 for 12 yards, likely scored the touchdown, but that was his only catch. Not a lot through the air in this game. Like I said, Lamar only had 10 completions, but the ground game was dominant. Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, Roquan Smith, as usual, led the way with 8 total tackles. He had a sack. Marlon Humphrey with a big game, pass deflection in the end zone, 7 total tackles. Kyle Van Noy added another sack to his career year, 11.5 sacks now on the year. Chris Board added a sack. Nnamdi Madubuike had a sack. Adafe Owe got a sack. Just an insane performance from this defense all around. I thought their coverage was incredible today. They were getting consistent pressure on Stroud. And then moving over to the Texans, CJ Stroud, 17 of 31, 185 yards and an interception. Interception to Kyle Hamilton. Shout out to Kyle Hamilton for that pick, man. Unbelievable play. And then we contained them on the ground. They really couldn't run a ton because they were down so much. But Joe Mixon, 9 for 26. They had 58 48 total rushing yards. And then receiving, Nico Collins led the way, but nothing crazy. 3 for 59. John Mechie added 5 for 48. Robert Woods, 2 for 21. Dalton Schultz, 2 for 21. Xavier Hutchinson, 2 for 21. Joe Mixon had 2 catches for 13. Not a lot going for the Texans today at all. Incredible team win in prime time on Netflix on Christmas Day in front of the world. This Ravens team is clicking at the right time. The offense has had a lot of dominant games like this. It's not a surprise that we put up 30 on offense, but what has turned this team around completely is this defense is playing out of their minds. You know, this is a playoff team that we just played. It's not like the Texans are the Giants or something. I know they're banged up. I know that this isn't the best version of the Texans, but we pitched a shutout, you know? I mean, they didn't score a point on offense, and that is unbelievable. That's a huge accomplishment for this defense and where they were earlier in this season, especially this pass defense. I mean, we were dead last in pass defense for a lot of this season, and it looked like it. Every team we played was just torching us through the air, and now that has all stopped. We're still stopping the run, and we're limiting teams through the air. So huge credit to the safeties, our Darius Washington, Kyle Hamilton. Huge credit to the corners. You know, we kind of got a rotation on the outside, but Nate Wiggins is playing well. Brandon Stevens is honestly picking up his game too. I feel like he's tackling a lot better than he was weeks ago, and his coverage has always been solid. I know there's some pass interferences, and he loses jump ball battles and things like that, no doubt. But he's usually on his guy, you know, and I feel like he's not playing terrible right now. We're still mixing in Tre'Davious White, who's playing a nice role. He's getting some snaps for us. Marlon Humphrey is having a career year himself. Most interceptions that he's ever had. He's definitely going to be an all-pro, make the Pro Bowl. Our linebackers are playing great, led by Roquan Smith, and then Chris Board has been stepping up for us big. We've been playing Trenton Simpson a lot less, ever really since that Chargers game when Roquan was out, and we got to see some Chris Board and Malik Harrison. I think they realized what they had in Board, and he just plays his assignments better, you know, and I think that they just trust that he's going to do his job better than Trenton Simpson right now. And Chris Board's playing great. Our defensive line is consistently getting pressure. Shout out to Dafe Owe. Kyle Van Noy, the old man off the couch, is still balling, having his career year, 11.5 sacks. Nnamdi Madubuike getting consistent pressure up the middle. You know, Travis Jones, Michael Pierce clogging the lanes. I'm going through the entire defensive roster, but what a transformation. Shout out to Zach Orr, this coaching staff. I mean, this is a huge turnaround from where we were. And to have our defense playing this well at the end of the season, you know, a week before the playoffs, and having our offense do what they've been doing all season long, I just think this is the perfect storm. The Ravens are playing consistent complementary ball, and obviously there's some elite teams in the AFC that we're going to have to face and play our best game that day. You know, when we run into Kansas City, hopefully in the playoffs, we're going to have our best game of the season that day. The Chiefs are not going to be easy, but the Ravens are playing the best ball that they've played this entire season, and that's really all you can ask for 1 week until the playoffs. We just couldn't have asked for a better Christmas. I hope all of you guys had a great Christmas outside of football. You know, I know the football gods have blessed us tremendously, and we are extremely blessed to be watching an offense with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Like, let that soak in, man. These are Hall of Famers. These are all-time legends, you know, living legends of the NFL that are on our Baltimore Ravens and are dominating and playing football at the highest level. And we're witnessing it, and we're fans of it, and we're watching these games and enjoying it. And I just think it's special, man. I think that we need to embrace every single second of this, because this is not normal. Most teams do not have this type of combination in their backfield and a quarterback at the helm that's playing out of his mind. Lamar Jackson is the best player on the planet. I cannot say that enough, and I am mind blown at what he does every single time he gets on that field, week after week. I'm just feeling amazing after today. We're first place in the AFC North. We are not losing to the Browns next week. The Ravens are going to win the AFC North. We're going to be the 3 seed in the playoffs, and the first wild card game is going to be in Baltimore. I don't know who we'll play. We'll probably play Pittsburgh, LA Chargers, or Denver Broncos most likely, unless the Bengals or Dolphins or somebody can sneak in, or the Colts. But I think it's going to be Broncos, Chargers, or Steelers. Whoever that ends up being is going to be traveling to Baltimore in week 1 of the playoffs. Bring it on. Let me know what your thoughts are about this game. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Let me know what your confidence is moving forward down the stretch of this season and into the playoffs. I'm sure it's high. I don't know what you'd still be that concerned about. Obviously, we got to do it, against Buffalo, Kansas City, Pittsburgh in the playoffs. These aren't going to be easy games, no doubt. I think Kansas City is our biggest threat. I mean, Kansas City's playing some of the best football in the NFL right now. Their offense is pretty loaded themselves. They got a really strong defense. That's still going to be the toughest challenge, but I think we're up for it. I mean, if we can't beat them with this team that we have right now, when are we going to beat them? I mean, this is the year, and we're playing how we should be playing with this type of roster. We're doing that right now at the perfect time. But I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The flock rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the